Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a rapidly escalating and frankly pretty chilling phenomenon known as truth decay. We've officially crossed the threshold into an era where we simply cannot trust our digital eyes and ears anymore. Artificial intelligence has fundamentally broken our traditional ways of verifying reality, and as you'll see, the financial consequences for businesses are absolutely staggering. To put this into perspective, just think about this number: $25.6 million. That is the exact amount a single finance worker at the engineering firm Arup wired over to criminals in one single day, spread across 15 different transactions. How on earth did that happen? Well, they were tricked by a deepfake video call. Every single person on that call, including the person they thought was their chief financial officer, was a real-time, interactive AI fake. It's a massive wake-up call, proving that our traditional human senses, they are totally obsolete when it comes to enterprise security now.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, the AI fraud explosion. Second, the AI scam toolchain. Third, real-world AI heists. Fourth, why traditional defenses fail. And finally, number 5, the new defense playbook.
Part 1, the AI fraud explosion. This is a threat moving at machine speed.
And this brilliantly illustrates just how fast the landscape is shifting. In 2025, traditional fraud grew by a solid 195%, but AI-enabled fraud, that skyrocketed by an astounding 1,210%. It's exploding at a scale we've literally never seen before. This exponential growth curve is creating massive, immediate urgency for security teams, especially since projected losses tied to generative AI fraud are on track to hit a jaw-dropping $40 billion globally by 2027.
Moving to Part 2, the AI scam tool chain. Let's demystify the technology driving this. We really need to look at how the attacker's workflow has evolved here. Think about a traditional, human-crafted phishing campaign. It might take someone 16 hours of manual research to put together, and even then, it's usually full of awkward phrasing and weird grammatical errors. But today, AI tools can generate hyper-personalized, flawlessly written attacks in about 5 minutes. We're talking about a 192 times speed increase. AI is completely stripping away the human limitations of time and language fluency that used to slow these bad actors down.
And, the craziest part is that this isn't some highly classified state-sponsored magic. It's actually a super predictable, heavily commoditized supply chain. Attackers kick things off with reconnaissance, scraping public data and conference recordings to clone people's voices. Then they move right into AI content generation using dark language models. Next comes delivery through standard communication channels, followed by exploitation, where the victim actually acts on the fake request, and finally, monetization. It's basically just a highly streamlined business model at this point.
What's truly terrifying about this toolchain is the barrier to entry, or rather, the lack of one. You can buy a complete synthetic identity kit with fully fabricated personal details for about $5. Subscriptions to dark LLMs, which are just AI models with all their safety guardrails completely ripped off, run maybe $30 to $200 a month. And with an estimated 8 million deepfakes already floating around online, the high costs and deep technical skills that used to be required for this level of social engineering, they've practically vanished overnight.
Let's shift to Part 3, real-world AI heists. This is where things go from abstract to devastating. Taking a bird's-eye view of the threat landscape, enterprises really need to hyper-focus on those critical risks at the very top. We're talking about deepfake video impersonation, AI voice cloning, and AI-powered business email compromise. These pose the highest possible organizational risk right now because they take our standard, everyday business communications and weaponize them into perfect impersonations.
To really grasp how deeply this can infiltrate an organization, check this out. North Korean IT operatives have actually been using deepfake technology to ace remote video job interviews. Seriously, they've successfully secured roles at over 136 U.S. companies, pulling in over $300,000 a year each, money that gets funneled directly into weapons programs. Once inside, some of these operatives even pivot to data extortion. It is a complete and total circumvention of standard HR and hiring protocols.
Here's another mind-blowing example. Researchers are calling this the Truman Show scam. Attackers deployed 90 entirely AI-generated financial experts to populate private messaging groups. They essentially trapped victims in a completely synthetic reality, guiding them to download server-controlled fake trading apps. And the kicker? These fake apps were listed on official app stores.
By building an entire fabricated social ecosystem around a target, the attackers completely bypass any standard skepticism a person might have.
Which brings us to part 4, why traditional defenses fail. Or, as I like to call it, the death of spot the typo. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the behavioral psychology at play. A traditional phishing email gets a click rate of about 12%. But when AI gets involved and generates a hyper-personalized email, maybe it scraped your LinkedIn or references your company's specific recent filings and transactions, that click rate jumps to 54%. That means these AI-driven attacks are 4.5 times more effective at tricking humans than the old methods. The harsh reality here is that human-based detection is completely dead. Legacy security programs relied super heavily on employees spotting generic, clunky messaging or obvious typos. But today, it takes a measly 3 seconds of scraped audio to generate a cloned voice that is an indistinguishable 85% match to the real person. If your corporate security training is still just telling people to spot the typo, you are leaving your organization dangerously exposed. So let's talk solutions. Part 5. The new defense playbook. We have to fight AI with AI. The foundation of this new playbook is a massive shift toward behavioral analytics. Because AI can easily generate flawless, incredibly convincing content, we literally have to stop looking at what the content is and start looking closely at the behavior of the network. This means implementing AI-driven network detection to spot weird, anomalous data flow patterns, like unusual command and control communications, instead of just leaning on static content-based security tools that AI easily steps right over.
And working right alongside that is ITDR, or Identity Threat Detection and Response. This tech fills a critical gap by flagging anomalous authentication patterns. Whether an attacker is logging in with a fully synthetic identity they bought for $5, or they've actually compromised a legitimate employee account, ITDR catches those behavioral deviations the exact second they try to access your enterprise systems.
But hey, technology alone is not a silver bullet. We need concrete human protocols too. We absolutely have to adopt layered verification controls. Because honestly, any single communication channel today, whether it's voice, email, or even live video, can be perfectly synthetically replicated. You just can't trust them in isolation anymore. Teams need dual approval workflows for moving money, out-of-band verification, pre-shared emergency safe words, and mandatory multi-factor authentication everywhere. No exceptions.
So, the crucial point is this fundamental mindset shift for IT and security leaders. It's called the assume compromised reality. We have to accept that eventually, AI-generated social engineering is going to successfully breach the perimeter. It's just going to happen. Therefore, finding attackers who are already roaming around inside your environment by tracking their anomalous network behaviors is vastly more reliable than trying to block every single flawless, hyper-personalized AI attempt right at the front door.
Truth decay isn't some dystopian, futuristic sci-fi concept anymore. It's the daily reality of modern enterprise security. The tools of deception are practically free, they're wildly accessible, and they offer total anonymity. So I want to leave you with this one thought. If you can no longer trust your own eyes and ears on a live video call or a voicemail, how are you going to verify your next big decision? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely stay vigilant out there.